Don't ask me to talk.
And welcome to another exciting edition of Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm one of your podcast pals. I'm Eric Reiner.
Hey, I'm the other one. I am Stacy Heller, and joining us today, or at least me, is my cat Cole. So if you hear a meowing, that's Cole, because Cole's like, don't ask me to talk.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome, Cole. Glad to have you on board.
Yeah, he's a chatty guy. I know you're surprised. Apple and tree and all that.
We'll see if he has interesting thoughts on what his most prized possession is, which is today's top topic that we get to in the third segment of the show every week. And we selected that with a little help from our good friend, the Wheel O Topics. And so maybe he's going to chime in, with a catnip mouse or something, but we'll find out. Everybody stay tuned.
He did have opinions on the show last week. He was like, wait, we're getting a pet parrot? I was like,
that sounds delicious.
Exactly. I was like, and for that reason, no.
Right.
So,
and for that reason, I'm out, dog.
Exactly. Thank you, Randy Jackson. So, hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. It's been a pretty decent week for me. How about yourself?
Well, I, in the ongoing saga of my ankle, I know that our listeners are just riveted by this story, and so I just want to give them the 411.
We've been limping along the last couple weeks.
Thank you.
Because of this injury.
Yeah, we totally have been. Actually, it is doing so much better, and I'm walking without dragging my foot, so that's nice. I mean, nobody really wants to do the whole like dragging clubfoot thing. And then I discovered the miraculous, wonderful thing that is one of those fabric bags that you can microwave to heat them up and put them on your sore and aching body. Hello, where's that been my whole life?
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, this is like a bag of peas, but warm.
Now, is the heat supposed to be good for swelling? Because I know you're like icing is good for swelling.
Well, if you were listening last week, so when I saw
I was listening last week and you weren't making good progress. So
no, I wasn't. So
Yeah.
Or maybe I saw her after our show. So I saw a gal on at Veranda Beach. She is a physical therapist, and she was saying that the rice technique, while good, as a physical therapist, she actually,
if you get your ankle wet, you're supposed to put it in a bag of rice. Is that right?
So rice stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevate. So
checks out.
Right. So that makes sense. However, I learned from this PT that the rice technique is not always what you want to do. Sometimes you actually want to,
especially if you're a bird.
Right. Not good. This is why they don't do rice at weddings anymore, folks.
That's right.
So she was talking about like the meat technique, which I was like, okay.
The meat technique.
Yeah. And I was like, so am I going to stick like some raw like beef on my ankle? Like, what's going to go on? No, it stands for
some Johnny seasoning salt. That'll take the sting right out.
Like you might as well just, you know what? Somebody's just going to eat the bone off and you'll be fine. No, apparently this is like movement exercise, which I'm like, okay, those are redundant to me. Then the third one is like meds. The fourth one is treatment, naturally, because it's physical therapy. So they want you to go in for treatment. And then she also said that heat is good for it. Contrary to popular belief, you actually want to increase blood flow to the area with something like this. And so that it almost comes to the surface and you can treat it versus like stunting the healing process. So
Okay.
I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm going to try it because I'm desperate. And you know what? Hey, it's better.
Nice. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not,
Sometimes you got to heat your meat.
you got to heat that meat, baby.
That's right.
Uh-huh. Um, so that is doing so much better. So that's one of my big things that is going on at the moment. And that is very exciting that it's been taken care of.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So happy to hear it.
Yeah, now I can be in the three-legged race and contribute sort of a leg.
Are you doing that? Is there is there a little
Well,
Veranda Beach Olympics going on right now that you are
honestly,
participating in?
it's not right now, but it's coming up
Okay.
for sports weekend at the end of the month, and there is a three-legged race. And as I
You're
was
gonna any
typing it
sign
up,
of a sack race happening or
oh yeah, there's the tug of war, there's the egg toss,
ring
there's
toss?
like all that stuff. And I'm normally not here sports weekend because, dear listener, you may know about me that I was the girl that was in theater and did the yearbook. I was not the sports person. So normally I get out of here, but this year I'm actually going to be here.
Right on. Well, heat that meat and good luck.
I am so not participating. Uh-huh, not happening. Um
It sounds like fun.
it does, doesn't it? If you're not me.
Sure.
I don't know, like did you have at your school when you were growing up like field days and sports days?
We did. Yeah, I remember that.
And like was it painful for you or did you enjoy it?
Like field day where it was goofy stuff like three-legged race or whatever. I didn't mind that, because it was like competitive, but nobody was losing their mind if you stumbled and fell in a sack race or something. Whereas, people got genuinely aggressive with actual sports, even if it's just kids playing softball on a school field. Even after school, kids would just get genuinely, and never mind if their parents got involved. But I just couldn't take that level of, judgment for like my poor playing. It's like, how am I ever going to get better if I'm always being judged? And yet I was constantly being judged. And so therefore quit and never got better at any of these sports. So yeah, but the goofy stuff, like I'm carrying an egg on a spoon or something, that was fine. I was happy to do that. But because, I something about the absurdity of the events
Right.
meant that people weren't like freaking out, losing their mind, or like doing the, I'm going to call on you last because I think you suck at this particular sport kind of thing.
Yep, that was me raising
That
my
was
hand.
all. Yeah, that was the kind of pressure that all kids faced. And yeah, never cared for any of that stuff. So typically I would sneak off if I could.
I'm so with you. And so like this weekend that is going to be happening at the end of the month, like it's everything from like bocce tournaments to volleyball to cornhole. There's a lake swim and a paddleboard thing. So there's all like these competitive things where I'm like,
Okay.
nope, 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 nope. And then the fun stuff is for families and kids, like the egg toss and the three-legged race and the tug of war and that kind of thing. And I'm like, honestly, can I be a kid? Because all the other stuff seems hideous. Like, and it's like you're trying to relive your youth or something, and people get so into it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I honestly, to be fair, I don't know what the tone is here. I just have automatically been like, nope, not my thing. And so we haven't been here. So I'm sure there's some of that, but I'm also sure that people are just having good, clean fun. And the insecure childish part of me is like, no, I don't want to play your reindeer games.
I get it. Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah. So anyway, but it should be fun. And I have friends that are coming up that weekend, and we'll see if they want to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
So that is that. I read a couple books this week. Hey, look at me.
Wow. Do you want to talk about them now or in our cultural blind spot?
Well, they're not really cultural blind spots because really what they are is beach reads. But they were actually fairly decent beach reads. There was one in particular that I really loved. It's called Nora Goes Off Script. And that was really fun. Kind of a feel-good vibe. So highly recommend. Can't remember who the author is, but look it up, folks. It's Nora Goes Off Script. So that was good. And then, I painted this week as well.
Very good.
Look at me.
Sounds like you've had an eventful one.
Sure. I'm sure I'll think of other things that happened. But in the meantime, tell me about your week. How is the car saga going? Any update?
Yeah, actually, I gotta say, I am the proud owner of a brand new Equinox EV.
Hey!
I
Did you have to kill or sleep with?
I didn't have to do any of that. In fact, I just went to a different dealer than I went to last week. And my whole thing was I was just going to be like, hey, here's the price I'm going to give you. If you don't like it, I'm going to this other dealership. So let's see if we can make this deal happen. And the reason why this happened was because I got a special offer from Chevy that was like, hey, you get 10,000 bonus points of our, GM rewards if you take a test drive. I'm like, well, I want to do that anyway. So I might as well just do it with the local dealer. And so I did. I went down and I said, hey, I want to take a test drive and get these 10,000 points. They're like, you do what now? To the what now? And they had no clue.
Seriously?
About this. Yes. Which worries me a little bit.
What is going on with car dealership?
I have no idea. I had no idea. I'm like, well, it's an offer on your website and it's, here's the email with the code and everything. And they finally figured it out. But really, it was like, surprising that
egg in their face.
It's like, does Chevy not tell their dealers, hey, by the way, we're doing this?
Probably not.
Get on board. I guess not. But anyway,
their AI marketing department has gone rogue.
Yeah. So I was telling the salesman that I just bumped into as I was pulling the door open, yeah, I'd love to get these 10,000 points. Can I take a test drive? He's like, sure. So we got the car, we took the test drive, and while I'm taking the test drive, I floated the fact that, hey, we could make this deal today if you knock $3,000 off this price. And he's like, oh, well, I can ask. These are selling pretty well, so I don't know that they'd be willing to do that, but I'll see what I can do. And I'm like, okay, cool, because these other dealerships have the same car for less money. I just don't want to drive to them. You guys are my local dealer, so hey, if you can match the deal and just knock off $3,000, we can make this happen today. And so we get back to the dealership. He's like, okay, I'm going to go and ask, can you get me the ad for the other dealership so that I can show that to them and make the case? I'm like, sure enough. So I pulled it up on my phone. And this is like we're living in 2025 pays off because I was able to zip that right up on my phone, shoot him a text with it, with a link to it. Yeah, yep. Exactly. And so it went in, and sure enough, they said, okay, we'll take $3,000 off it. Let's make it happen.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think I got a decent deal on it, and the car is great so far. I'm loving it. And drove it around a little bit. And, the very next day, Sunday, because I do this on Saturday, and Sunday, the dealer that I went to last week called me and said, we've got great news. Call us back. I said, voicemail. Never mind. Yeah. So I did not call them back, but I can guess that they were having regrets about not offering me the price that they offered me.
Uh-huh.
And so they were a day late and $3,000 short. Yes.
Yep. That's amazing. So do you love it? What color is it?
I love it.
Did you name it?
I don't name my cars, but it's black and real shiny, and I like it a lot. And I'm so glad that I was able to get them to knock the price down, because with these dealers, there's always some extra thing. Like I had to go into a room with like the finance guy, and he gave me this whole spiel about, the warranties, and you could get this extra warranty, and then there's this extra warranty, and then and there's a $300 fee for this wax that they put on it, and they put it on all the cars, so you can't do anything about that. It was like, okay, well, as long as I got a good deal, base deal here, that I guess I'll pay the $300 extra for the wax that I don't care about or want. But okay. The car looks great. It's shiny and beautiful, and I'm so happy to have this new upgraded vehicle, and it's got all kinds of fancy new features that I was having fun trying out on my commute the last couple days.
Like what? Like, first of all, okay, the most important things, cup holders. Tell me about the cup holders. I love myself a cup holder.
It's got those. They work fine.
But are they on the door, and are they in the middle, and are there some for the people in the back?
They're in the middle.
Okay.
I think there's like a fold down. I haven't even sat in the back seat yet, but
armrest in the back.
There's an armrest that folds down that you can put cups in. Yeah.
And will it hold like a gallon sized water bottle, so that you can walk around with
big
your
dumb
Stanley?
cup? Yes. I don't think there's space for a big dumb cup unless it tapers at the bottom.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, which I think most of them do. So it should work out just fine. But I immediately put the backseat dog cover in, so that Gertie could take a ride in the new vehicle, and she seems to be liking it so far. One big advantage of this versus my last vehicle is it's got vents in the back, so she's got a little more air circulation.
So
which
she
is
gets
great.
her little Beyonce moment with the fur flying.
That's right. Like if we're like in town, I got the windows down for her because she gets upset if those windows don't come down. But when we're on the freeway, doing 70, going, 200 miles away,
Gertie would be like, wait.
Yeah, that's not something we can do. But yeah, she's enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying it so far. The girlfriend seems to like it. So, we're happy campers now.
Yay, that's exciting.
Yeah, my first brand new car.
That's a big deal.
I feel like an adult now.
That's like a really big deal.
It's a rite of passage.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like you made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
I made them an offer they could refuse, but thankfully chose not to. Because clearly the dealer from the previous week proved that they could refuse any offer.
Yeah, well, those salespeople are like, hey.
But anyway, the fancy feature that I have been enjoying the most, and probably a lot of people out there that drive fancier cars that don't think this is particularly fancy or new or exciting, but the cruise control, the active cruise control.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying, because the previous cars that I've had cruise control, but not the active cruise control. So this is really nice to have it automatically slow down and speed up once I set the target speed. And it's got lane assist and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. But that cruise control thing is great, because I would love to just set the speed and just let the car go, which is what I am doing now. And it's great. Somebody pulls in front of me, it automatically slows down. It's not a big deal. So
That's kind
my
of nice. I don't ever use that. I'm like always doing my
it's
own thing.
yeah, it's a great feature. I mean, especially if you're able to be on a freeway in the same lane for a long period of time. It's really very cool.
Now,
Um,
did your former car have a backup cam?
it did,
Okay, so
yeah.
you're used to the whole backup cam. I think it's so interesting when the first car that I got that had the backup cam, I was like, what is this? And I'd still sling my arm over the back and turn around and contort myself. And it took a really long time to get used to it. And at some point, I transitioned so that now when I'm in a car that doesn't have the backup cam, I'm like, what the heck is this?
Right?
I mean, I still sort of look, but I don't have to contort myself as much. So it's amazing how we adapt to things.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like getting on a plane without Wi-Fi now. It simply isn't done.
Right? I can't even.
Right? Are you sure this thing's going to stay in the air? Yeah, it is like that.
It is
It's
in the cloud, Eric.
right. Well, it's so. I see what you did there.
Thank you.
But yeah, it becomes so essential. You don't understand how you lived without it before. It's just the same thing with like the merging warning, like, oh, there's a car on the side, and it gives you that little signal that, hey,
Yep.
there's somebody next to you. This thing has like even a little butt vibration. If someone pulls up alongside of you while you're trying to turn.
Seriously?
Yeah, and that's like freaking me out a little bit, but I have a feeling within like 2 years of getting in another car, I'm like going to be like, where's my butt vibration?
That seems a little.
That guy was clearly next to me. Where's my butt vibration?
I'm fascinated by the technology using like the seat. It's like, hello, pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. All right. A butt vibrator. Interesting. I don't think that's what you said, but
No, that is not what I said. And that, you have to pay extra. I didn't get spring for that package.
got it. That's for her pleasure.
Yes, that's in the passenger seat only.
Oh, how off-road we just went.
Oh, that's what we do.
That's what we do. Conversational off-roaders that we are.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's a big deal, especially getting your first like hot off the lot. Now you know what it's like for an item to depreciate like immediately.
Oh, yeah. I'm well aware of that. And even worse is now like being on social media and seeing other people talking about the better deal that they got.
Ugh, just don't even.
That I got it. It's just like, okay, well, it's done now. I can't go back and say, hey, look at this guy.
Nope. Nope.
So, because I'm sure there's some factor that did not apply to me, whether it's their location or whether it's their trade-in or whatever. I'm happy with my car and I'm happy with the price that I paid. So, I think it's all good. But as a guy that likes a bargain, it is tough to see somebody get a better bargain than me.
Just work on changing the algorithm of your
That's
social
right.
media.
Yeah, I got to do that.
Well,
But yeah.
I learned a special hack. So it's sort of like a cheat code, something that you learn. I learned that Cheez-Its are not all made in the same factory. That's not really a surprise that there's multiple factories. But
One
that,
would hope.
well, yeah. But the superior factory that you want your Cheez-Its made in is one that I guess at the bottom of the Cheez-It box with the barcode, there's also a series of letters. And if it starts with the letter K, that is the superior factory that you want your Cheez-Its from.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
Apparently, they're just better. They're like, I don't know if
different
they're
ingredients, though? Or?
Nope. It's just like it was this random social media post that I saw, and everybody was commenting. And then I went to my box of Cheez-Its, extra toasty, of course. And sure enough, there was the K. And then I went to the grocery store and I got another box with K. Now, hey, listener, if you're listening, do me a favor, go to the grocery store and look at the bottom of the Cheez-It box and tell me if there's a different letter. Because for all I know, every box of
They're all
Cheez-Its has
K.
a letter
Yes.
K. So you need to tell me, especially if you're not in Washington, because I suspect that, depending on where you are in your region, probably different parts of the country, different factories, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's just that they're fresher because they've traveled a shorter distance. I don't know. I've never heard of this, but it does remind me of the soda thing where it's like, oh, if you got your Dr. Pepper from Dublin, Texas, it would use like cane sugar instead of corn syrup. And so it's like people were like making special trips to Dublin, Texas to get the Dr. Pepper until Dr. Pepper sued them out of existence. But there was a time there. Yeah. And it's like, why are people getting Mexican Coke instead of American Coke?
And here's the interesting thing. Apparently that's a switch that's going to happen generally.
Right. Well, I'm guessing that they're just going to introduce a special version of Coke with real sugar, which Pepsi has done for like the last 15 years or so, has already offered a real sugar version of Pepsi.
Right.
And it sells out everywhere. So this idea that somebody sweet talked them, no pun intended, into making the switch with Coke. Yeah, I don't buy it. But, they probably have seen that their main competitor had successfully done this for 15 years.
Right.
At least 15 years. And decided, maybe we should give that a try. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny thing, rewriting of history.
Absolutely. But I'll stick with the Pepsi because I think it's real sugar or not, it's just better in my opinion.
And see, since I'm a Diet Coke drinker, I'm using whatever that chemical is that is ultimately going to kill me. But I'm pretty sure that everyone ultimately dies of a heart attack in the end. So whatever.
I think it's when you die that's important, not how you die.
Oh, yeah. Right. Anyway, I don't know. I'm drinking Diet Coke, and you know what? At some point I may go cold turkey again. It's happened in the past, but not today, Satan. So, all right. Anything else before we take a break?
Well, I watched a whole bunch of movies this week, but I think we can talk about that in the next segment.
All right. Well, let's do that because hopefully you watched The Godfather Part 2, Part 1.
Oh, yeah. We were going to do that. No, I did. I watched the whole thing.
There you go.
So,
well done.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about The Godfather Part 2. I think we have a question for Dear Krabby as well.
Yes, we do.
So we'll get into that and so much more, all coming up right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Stacey Heller. I'm one of your podcast pals, along with Eric Ryder from Don't Ask Me to Talk. Are you liking what you're listening to? Awesome. We would love if you would follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram as Don't Ask Me to Talk. We also are wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can follow us, subscribe, like, rate, whatever it is that you do. You can also email us. That's asking@don'taskmetotalk.com. And if you'd like, text or leave us a voicemail at 475-999-2726. Basically, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.
And we're back right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm Eric Ryder.
Hey, I'm Stacey Heller.
Yeah, and this is the part of the show where we give advice to folks based on their questions with our imaginary but all too real advice columnist, Dr. Krabby, Dear Krabby.
Whichever one you want to go with, honestly.
Yeah.
It's technically Dear Krabby.
It is, yeah. And yeah, we don't have any medical experience other than between us, we've been to the doctor a few times.
Yeah, totally.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
like, all you have to
give
do
that
is
disclaimer now.
Listen to the saga of the ankle, and clearly there is no medical training or expertise happening here. So, yes. So There was a question that came my way about the use of weed. Now, let me give the context. So it was here where our lake house is. There's a community here. We are in the United States. We're very close to the Canada border. So we do have a lot of Canadian people that come down and own here. But the question was about the 21 and over kids who it seems like this age is actually drinking less, but smoking weed or doing edibles or vaping or whatever more. Like that seems to be their vice of choice, if you will, which in Washington state, it is legal if you are 21 and over. And so
it is legal to use it on your own property.
Yes.
It is not legal to use in any form, including smoking, vaping, or eating in public places like parks, restaurants, or public sidewalks, concerts, etc., or on federal land, and this includes state and federal parks.
Well, there you go. Okay, so here's an interesting conundrum, though. So what came up in conversation is that the kids were smoking on the veranda. Now, technically, that's private property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except that it's screened in.
Right.
So you can close the door to the house because I guess it was like, I don't really want the smell in the house, which fine. However, the smell then wafts out because it's a screened-in porch. So there was an interesting debate about, it's like, well, if they wanted to have a drink, then they could totally have a drink and, be on the veranda and do their thing. But with the generation, really, this particular generation and maybe future ones being like, I'm not going to drink. It's, I gain weight. It gives me a headache, like whatever the excuses are. It's kind of an interesting thing because it does impact, unless it's an edible, like air quality for other people.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was sort of like what do we do? Like, this is a brave new world that we're in. Right.
Yeah. Well, initially my thoughts are, about how I just wish that people would give up smoking of any substance at all times. I went to a show and I was so happy when like bars and venues banned indoor smoking, because when I first started going to concerts, you would just like come out reeking like cigarette smoke. Uh-huh. And God knows how many years you shaved off your life from other people smoking like in your vicinity, and you're just trying to enjoy a concert. So when they finally did away with that, it was like, thank goodness. And they, it was like, oh, it couldn't be done. And yet everybody, including smokers, I think at this point, are much happier being in a space without smoke trapped inside with them.
Totally.
So I'm anti-smoking in every respect. I think it's just dumb and obviously horribly bad for you. It smells awful. It makes, I just think it's gross.
Yep.
And then, so with the marijuana thing, I voted to legalize it because everybody was using it. You might as well tax it, and be able to, create education and not fill up our prisons. And, it was just dumb. Something that's essentially definitely not any more dangerous than alcohol,
right.
Which was legal. But I'll say the side effect of that I did not like was that at least for the first 5 or so years after it became legal, there was like a huge cloud of smoke that seemed to have engulfed the whole Northwest. You could not just like walk down the street without just having a cloud of weed smoke just like engulf you.
Totally.
It was ridiculous. And now I feel like that has like tampered down a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Thank goodness. because I don't smoke weed. I've definitely I've tried it in the past. It doesn't have good effects for me. So it's just not something I enjoy. But if you're legal age, you bought it legally, more power to you. Enjoy yourself. But I am on the side where I don't want that wafting in my face while I'm walking down the street. So I think people need to take care and think about the fact that their smoke drifts. Now, like I was trying to say before, as I went to a show a couple weeks ago, that people were smoking cigarettes outside in a show, and it was so hot that the venue had moved the show to their outside stage, which I thought, oh, this is great because it is really hot inside. It will be outside, fresh air, enjoy the show. But there were so many people that were smoking now because we're outside, that it was like, oh, this is unpleasant. The air inside is much cleaner now.
Yeah.
And so I ended up moving to a couple different spots where there wasn't people smoking, thankfully. But it just reminded me of the bad old days where smoking indoors, was a thing. And so, yeah, it's not something that I enjoy. And I had kind of wished at that point that those people were smoking weed because it smells better than cigarette smoke, but I still don't like the smell.
I'm with you. Like, I would rather pick the slightly sweet, dank smell of weed than that tobacco smell that is just horrible and stale. So I guess my thought is, if you're smoking, now go with me on this, then you probably have not to be Freudian about it, almost like an oral fixation, right? Like, you like the act of smoking. And so I'm like, here's the deal. I think they have weed lollipops. Try that. Or have an edible of some kind. There's all kinds of gummies, and they have them in all the various strains and things. And then chew a piece of gum. I mean, not to be that person, but in a place like this, recognize that ultimately this is a family resort. So while you're doing it on your veranda, it's still wafting, and there's kids that are literally playing spike ball out on the lawn next to you, and it's not contained. So I think it ultimately comes down to spatial awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are alternatives, and it may not be your favorite, but it's, kind of a when in Rome type situation.
Yeah. Exactly what you said. Just be aware of your surroundings. Now, I think if they're on the porch and there's an expectation that you're not going to have people within your direct, 2 feet or whatever, I can understand that, especially vaping, where it's not quite as much as, smoking.
Well, and late at night, I mean, because people hang out late at night on their veranda. So that's different. The kids are pretty much, all in bed and whatever.
Yeah.
And you're listening to music. And if that's your thing, fine. But yeah, I agree with you. I just think there's so many alternatives and that you can work through. But it is a weird thing to be part of a generation that we grew up that, weed is bad, not legal, can't do. And then, I have 4 kids now that in theory are legal aged, and some of their friends, are like, hey, do you mind if I light my doobie? And I'm like, I'm like, well, and actually this did come up, although it's not why I brought this up, but it did come up, and I was like, the smell wafts, I would rather you get some edibles. And, there are weed shops everywhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is just about being polite. And that's what Dear Krabby is about, really, is just, our opinion on what's polite and what's not polite.
Yep.
Now, I would never, go and complain about somebody on their own property smoking, even if that wafted over to me. I can just keep walking. It's okay. So I would say be polite in that case too, but just for style points, if you're actually, aware, because we're in a society here,
Yes, we are.
of your effect of what you're doing, and how that affects other people, then I think that's always the thing you got to ask yourself when you're doing anything. Is this going to negatively impact other people? Some people don't care about that, regardless. And I think more people should care about that. How does my actions impact other people? So that's all.
I agree 100%. We are in agreement. And as Eric likes to remind us and you, that is over 100 years of knowledge and experience.
Life experience. That's right. Yes. Over a century's worth.
Exactly.
Got a question for Dear Krabby? Shoot us an email. It's asking@don'taskmetotalk.com.
You can also call or leave us a voicemail. That's a really easy thing to do. We'd love to get one from you. It is 475-999-2726. Okay, now speaking of legalizing drugs, which we weren't, but we were. Hey, The Godfather 2.
Yes.
I mean, drugs sort of entered the conversation, but I mean, not
right. I'm trying to think. Did they? Yeah, The Godfather 2. This is a segment we like to call cultural blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us, one of us a little speedier than others, has been
okay.
crossing off big cultural properties that we have ignored our whole lives. Finally checking out some of these things that people have been going on about for years, and we've never had the chance to. And one of those things that we both agreed on was a cultural blind spot for both of us was the Godfather trilogy. So last week we talked about watching The Godfather, which I think we both enjoyed.
Yeah, we did. You may recall, if you're a longtime listener, for whatever reason, like the last 30 minutes, I didn't watch. So I did watch the last 30 minutes. Okay. And I was like, okay.
Any additional thoughts on it?
No, I mean, it was definitely like a moment when, there's the passing of the baton via kissing the ring type vibe. And then to sort of open up the next one, Godfather 2, kind of in that same vein was, it was a cool, powerful way of doing it. But yeah, I did actually really like it. I know you have shared that The Godfather 2 is generally more well received.
Yeah, I think it's regarded as the best of the trilogy.
So I have a hot take here. I think I got really distracted by Marlon Brando.
Okay.
Because I just sort of accepted that, that's there he was, and like, okay, this is who he is. But I really liked this one better, or at least like part one. We're only speaking technically of part one.
But did you watch the whole thing, or did you stop at the intermission?
No, I stopped at the intermission.
Okay. I watched the whole thing because I found it like kind of strange that the intermission was like 2 hours into it. So there was only like an hour left after the intermission. So I don't know. I got sucked in enough that I watched the whole thing. But we'll just talk about the first half of the movie, or first portion of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think in looking back at one, I did enjoy it, but I don't know. That was a little heavy-handed, and I realized. And I sort of enjoyed the volley back and forth between the past and present, and it gave some interesting
because in this movie we've got Robert De Niro playing the young version of The Godfather as he made his way from Sicily to America, and how he got into being a mobster, essentially.
He looks super cute in this movie.
It's one of those things where I guess I've always known that Robert De Niro was in a Godfather movie, or that he was the Godfather somehow. But wait, wasn't Marlon Brando the Godfather? It was just one of those things. So I never quite understood that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, oh, so it was like, oh, okay, I get it. He's the young version of the Godfather. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense to me. So there was already like lots of things that were like falling into place.
Totally.
You know?
It was like, okay, now I have a sense. And it was what was interesting about having that like juxtaposed against the modern day being like the, when it was, is that, you were like, oh, I sort of feel sorry for him. Like little guy coming over, like,
right.
His father's killed.
Yeah, his brother's killed, his
father's
killed, his mother's killed. Yeah.
And so, it was like, oh, and then I thought it was really interesting how like loyal he was to his wife and the importance of like the boys in the family and
right.
like, what you're willing to do in order to save and protect the boys in the family. I mean, like, Michael, when he found out that his wife had a miscarriage and it was maybe a son, like he went berserk.
Yeah.
So just some interesting thematic things that were happening that brought some like, oh, in a weird twisted way, they have their own moral code.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that was laid out pretty well in the first movie, but it was just like that one, I think already like from the first chunk of the movie, I could tell like they're using music a lot better, I think, in The Godfather Part 2. Because I swear in The Godfather Part 1, he was almost scoring it with babies screaming. There is that famous theme music that they introduced during the Godfather Part 1, which, by the way, I neglected to mention this. When I went in to buy the new car, sat down with the salesman, he got a phone call, and his ringtone was that Godfather theme music.
That's amazing.
So it was so funny because last week, of course, like the two things was talking about trying to buy this car and then also The Godfather, and to have them like merge by Saturday, it was like the show was entering into real life there or something. But
I love that, especially while you're trying to make a deal and make it offer.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the let's make him an offer he can't refuse. When I saw that in the Godfather Part 1, I thought, oh, that's great. Okay, that's where it comes from. But then by the end of the movie, they had said it like 4 or 5 times.
Right.
It had become like a catchphrase where it just like had lost all its like emphasis and power, And if it would have been like if Arnold had said, I'll be back. And then, I'm back. And guess what? I'll be back again in the Terminator. It was just
be
like.
Right back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
or if Darth Vader was like, remember how I'm your father, Luke? Right. It was just like, I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it was clearly meant to show that, like, an offer you can't refuse. Like, I can see doing it like once, maybe twice, to show that, like, when is said, like, look, if you don't agree, you're not going to live. It's very simple.
But it definitely felt like their catchphrase by the end. Yeah. It was just like, it would have made sense to me if they had once the Godfather, Marlon Brando, say it. Okay, that's his thing. And then once, like, Michael echoing that, because it's like, okay, yeah, he's clearly absorbed. But like I said, it was multiple times.
Yeah, I agree. There wasn't as many lines in this one like what we're talking about in Part 2, that it was like, oh, that's where that comes from. Or, so clearly Part 1 was such a shock to the system for people. For
the culture.
Yeah. So, so in terms of that, I think that's what makes The Godfather such like an iconic, beloved movie.
Yeah.
I think The Godfather 2, it's a better movie.
Yeah, they're taking those themes, but making it with a little more thought and a little more skill, because they probably learned from mistakes from the previous one, and I I loved the fact that they had the house in Lake Tahoe. That was, it just reminded me of like how beautiful Lake Tahoe is. When I was a kid, lived in Reno, and we used to go to Lake Tahoe all the time. So that was like stomping grounds
fun.
for me. Yeah. So I recognized quite a bit of it, and it was just like, yeah, I got to get back there because it really is a beautiful place. And I had no idea that there was a Lake Tahoe connection. I'm sure it probably was mentioned to me as a kid, just like my mom mentioned where they shot the birds in Bodega Bay, and I had no point of reference for that. I'm sure someone mentioned to me, hey, The Godfather Part 2 was filmed here. It's like, huh? No, I have definitely not watching The Godfather Part 2 at the age of 7 or whatever,
Right.
But yeah, it a lot better use of music, I thought. I thought the story was good.
Now,
it is...
Go ahead.
I was going to say it is maybe a little bit overstuffed because there's so much in it,
And so I was going to say, from the moment when the attempt is made on his life, like all through Cuba, and then he comes home to find out that she's miscarried, I'm like, okay, so we know that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And like, how long was that? Like that period of time?
Right.
You can mark it. It
abandons
was like
his family.
He abandons his family and he's
tour
like,
of the world.
Right. So he's like, hey, Tom, you're in charge.
Yes.
And, like
Robert Duvall.
Yep. And, you're like, how long is he gone? He's all over the place and he's in Cuba and, that's interesting.
And Robert Duvall completely bald by this point. Even it's 2 years later when they made the movie. And so it finally like occurred to me at the end, oh, he was wearing a piece during the first movie. I had no idea that was a hairpiece. It looked pretty good. I think the makeup was really good in these movies.
Working with the family, he lost his hair.
Yeah, that would do it. In both of these movies, I couldn't help but think, all this for relative luxury? Your family is all being killed, you're running the risk of being killed, and you've got a nice lake house?
I don't even know if that's
you could
what
do
it was
that with
for.
With a regular job.
Yeah, but I don't even know if that's what they did it for. Like when you go back to the story of when, like, he first came to New York and then he sort of falls into this thing like he's a good guy with a pretty strong moral compass and sort of is like, hey, I'm good at solving problems and I'm not a little squeamish. I'll take care of things.
Right.
And, it's like, it almost feels like there's this righteous sense of justice, and like, God-like judgment that's happening over like who's doing what. I don't know that the end goal was for comfort or if it was just like, I'm dispensing justice.
Well, it definitely is for Michael. I mean, you think about all he's doing, it's like these big business deals, trying to grow this company. You know what I mean? The whole reason they moved to Vegas is to take over, gambling or whatever. And it becomes this like big corrupt business. And again, all this for what? Some relative comfort.
Right.
Which you could do with a regular job and a little ambition.
Right.
And not have like your whole family slaughtered, essentially.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Where my kids come in and play.
I know.
This was like the funny thing is now we know like Pacino's acting style is a whole lot of shouting. But back then, like you watch the first movie, there's none of that. So it's like I feel like this is the movie where the Pacino that we know today really developed. It was The Godfather Part 2.
I'm very quiet until I'm very unhappy.
Right. Yes. Where my wife sleeps, where my children come in to play with their toys. Yes.
You know,
and there was a
toys-
few moments like this in the movie where he's just like, gonna snap.
Totally.
And he does that full-on Pacino yelling. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Classic Pacino, am I right?
Yeah, his hair didn't look as good this time around.
No, it didn't.
And neither did Robert Duvall's.
Well, you know what? His hair looked it looked okay in Cuba, but generally it didn't look as good.
Yeah.
But like everything in Cuba was just like sort of shiny and light and like whatever.
Right. Yeah. Cuba looked pretty fun back then.
Right? I mean, if you go now, there's still those cars and like, you know, all the old cars and stuff.
You think you can still go see Superman? I'm not going to spoil that. That's a joke. You have to watch the movie to understand. And you know, the tough thing about doing this in a part 1, part 2 kind of thing is I don't remember if that happened pre-intermission or post-intermission, but I think they went to Cuba pre-intermission.
Yes,
and
they did.
So you know what I'm talking about, the nightclub. Okay.
Yes.
Fredo's having a good time.
Oh, yeah. Fredo. I mean, Fredo's a mess.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And you know what? As much as I feel like this movie was kind of overstuffed, there was other stuff, though, that I felt could have been in. Like with Vito Corleone as a young man, it's like he arrives in the U.S. as an orphan, and he's like a child. You know, he's like 7 years old or something like that, or maybe a little older. And then it's smash cut to him as a full-grown adult as De Niro. We see no anything about his upbringing.
Nothing.
As an orphan in America.
No, he was quarantined and like with his smallpox, and it was like, all right, and no sense of like, and he went through the whole immigration process by himself.
Right.
And so
So did he get adopted by anybody? Did he just?
This
was
needs
he
a
homeless?
Star Wars treatment where they have like a whole show that's done,
right?
Like Andor, right? That's like, hey, we're gonna do a whole thing that's like the origin story or like
young Godfather,
years. Right? Exactly. The
Godfather babies, you know, Jim Henson's Godfather babies.
Exactly. I mean, do we have to do this too? Gosh, there's so
much. And so all that being said, with my criticisms out there, I had a great time watching this. I had a good time.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch the rest of it. I knew that I was going to get confused and lump everything in. And since we had said part 1 of part 2, then I was committing to it. So, but next week we will talk about part 2 of part 2.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe I'll have some time to talk about these other movies that I watched this last week. Because, a big movie came out this last week in the theaters, Superman.
Yeah.
And I went and saw it.
You went to a movie theater? You don't do that, really. I did.
Well, I do it on a fairly regular basis.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went on Tuesday, the cheap day. I was proud of myself because I always say that. Tickets are cheap on Tuesday. Let's go see a movie on Tuesday. And we always like, oh, God, too tired after work. So we never do. But this time we actually got off our butts and actually walked out of the theater and took advantage of those discounted tickets and enjoyed the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. All right.
But I got a lot more thoughts on it, but I'll probably save that for next week.
Right.
Just because we're running short on time here. But I could also talk about the fact that I watched Tommy Boy for the first time.
What?
And another Hitchcock movie, Dial M for Murder.
Oh, that's a
which
good
I'd
one.
never seen. So we'll talk about that. I'll put that on the list to talk about next week.
All right. Well, and part 2 is clearly shorter, so we'll have more time.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's take a break because when we come back, we need to actually have a couple minutes to talk about our topic of the week, which is prized possessions.
Yeah, stay tuned, everybody. And let us know what your prized possessions are, by the way. Shoot us an email asking at don'taskmetotalk.com. Of course, you can call or text us that number.
Thank you for asking. It's 475-999-2726. Can't wait to hear from you.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is Eric Ryder reminding you to follow us on Facebook. We're at Don't Ask Me to Talk, and we're on Instagram, again, at Don't Ask Me to Talk. We'd love to hear from you, so check us out on social media and leave us a comment. Leave us a like. Remember, you can always email us directly at asking@don'taskmetotalk.com or leave us a voicemail or text at 475-999-2726. That's 475-999-2726. And we're back right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm one of your podcast pals. I'm Eric Ryder.
Hey, I'm the other one, and I am Stacy Heller. So, are you ready? You ready to get to the meat? The meat of the topic or the show?
Topic. And yeah, today it's prized possessions. Now, of course, the Wheel of Topics is the thing that we spin to pick the topic each week. And this time it was prized possessions. You're the one that comes up with the topics that go on the wheel. What was your thinking behind adding this to the conversation today?
Basically, it was a conversation among friends and talking about, it really came from them talking about their experience downsizing and really trying to pick the things that, what do I want to take to this next home? And then also commenting on, as they had their kids who grew up in these, houses that they were moving from, they were fascinated to see the things that the kids chose that they want to take with them to kind of the next stage of their lives. So it came from that.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is an interesting topic. I sometimes think about moving abroad. And when I think about moving abroad, the idea of taking any of my possessions seems overwhelming to me. Like, well, that's not going to fit on the plane. I'm not bringing this couch or, whatever.
Right.
My LCD TV, that's not coming. I'll probably have to pare down my clothes and all this stuff, So I do think about this on a regular basis. I think this is something that people probably do think about a lot. So it is a good topic. I think there used to be a lot more of passing down stuff from generation to generation. And that meant those objects meant so much more in the past for some reason to people, like, oh, this has been in my family for generations. Now I think people, maybe it has to do with more about how long people are living now, that when they're passing on their things, they're no longer dying in their 50s and then passing on their estate, to their children, right, who at that point would have been, 25 or whatever, and just moving into their new house. Now, people are 100 years old and they're passing things on to their kids who are 80.
Right.
And they're like, I don't want this crap. I can't fit this into my room at Sunny Pines, No,
and their 50-year-old kids don't want it. And then
their 50-year-old grandkids.
Right. And then their 20-year-old great-grandkids are like, yep, can I put my glass on it without it leaving a ring? Like, can I hawk it for actual money because I can't afford rent?
Yep.
Yeah, I do think it's a different world that we live in. And I 100% agree with you. Like, what was once considered like prized possessions. Like, I remember, to your point, my mom talking about these porcelain dolls that my grandmother had, and like they're worth so much money, and maybe someday you'll get the porcelain dolls. And then I got the porcelain dolls, and you look them up on eBay and it's like $12 for these dolls that were like like, whoa, the Royal Doulton,
Right.
and it's like, I got rid of those suckers. I was like, bye, I'm done. And so these
Whereas
days,
I'm still pining over my Star Wars action figures that got lost in a move, 10 moves ago.
well, and so you bring up a good point. The things, as I was kind of doing an inventory of like what would I consider a prized possession, it's
Right.
typically things that either a family member has had like a part of, or it's like touched me directly, or there's some connection. It's not about like the random stuff, and or like their value. And I mean, just for this conversation, I just want to clarify that it goes without saying, let's not be boring, people. Of course, our prized possessions are our loved ones, our pets. And if we're going to be practical, then making sure that you have your birth certificate or your insurance information, yada,
Right.
yada, yada, yada. That's boring. That's not what we're
Your,
talking about here.
your phone, of course.
Right.
is
Exactly.
essential to have.
Right. Like,
Yes.
yes, we know all of that. This is like, you have all of that in your handy dandy fireproof suitcase and the family is out and everyone's safe. What is the thing or thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And so since you ruled out pets, then I can't say Gertie. And the idea also that she's a possession seems wrong to
Right.
me, even though technically that's probably the law, that I'm a pet owner. I just don't think of her that way. Of course, she's a member of the family.
Right.
She's got a will of her own. She does what she wants, even when I don't want her to.
Atta girl. We love that Gertie
right.
girl.
So, and of course, all possessions be damned. If there's a fire, she's the thing I'm getting outside, getting away from the fire as soon as possible. So yeah. So do you want to talk about one of your prized possessions?
Well, the one that keeps poking up in my head is so freaking impractical. So my parents, years and years and years ago, bought this like Easter Island head. It was like kind of like a garden ornament sculpture type thing, and my dad took it as like a sculpture, and this thing is like cement, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
built this wood stand for it, and it's super cool looking. And they
Does it
had
have the body that you have to dig out the
No.
ground to put
It's
them in the ground?
inferred.
Okay, it's just the head.
It's just the head, and they had it in their house in Vermont, and it was so heavy that like the first time that uh we were visiting with the kids and the kids interacted with it, dad's like, make sure the kids don't bump into it, blah, 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 and this whole lecture. And of course, Charlie, who at the time was like 4 or something, he just walked in and was like, hi, Guy. And so forever after, his name is Guy. So Guy weighs a ton. And I think that Guy would probably survive the fire because he's made of stone. But because Guy is sort of like a bridge between the generations. Like, it came from my dad, and it was such a part of also my kids' upbringing, and it's in my house. Like, I got it. And it's one thing that is universally beloved, and that I would really be sad if we no longer had Guy.
Right.
So I'm going to have to not only strengthen my ankle, but my arms as well, because that sucker weighs a bleep ton.
Now, if you were to move to another country, Guy would probably not make the cut, I'm guessing, though.
Guy, if I moved to another country, then Guy would go. Charlie has already claimed Guy as his own.
Okay.
Since he named him, he's like, someday I get Guy.
You've got an adoption plan.
So we have,
in
yes,
effect.
we have the transfer all planned. So that's the thing that kept coming up over and over again, no matter what. So what about you? What's something for you?
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, obviously, my house, I think, is a huge thing. Now, the house isn't that huge, but it's huge in my mind of things that I love having, and it's a prized possession. I love our neighborhood. I love living where I live, and I love living in my house. But obviously, if there's a house fire, I'm not grabbing the house. So
Speaking of Superman, alas, you are
yes.
not.
let's drill down a little smaller, I would think. And the new car right there, I'm now like super love the new car. So
Yep.
that's one other thing that I was thinking. But again, hopefully I'd be able to get to the new car if there was a fire, and get out of there with my prized possession.
Right. So that's a gimme in a way.
Yeah, yeah. But I gotta say, my musical equipment, and I know I would have to like pare this down quite a bit, even if I was just to move. But I have got a couple Rickenbacker guitars that I really I love how they look. I love how they sound. I've been playing one of them for like 20 years and the other one for 10 years. And so I think I would love to have one of those with me for as long as possible.
A Rickenbacker?
Yeah, it's a Rickenbacker.
Huh, okay. I've never heard of a Rickenbacker.
Well, they're up there with the Fenders and the Gretsches and the Gibsons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not I'm not a musical person, so
the Beatles famously played Rickenbacker guitars.
Wow. Okay.
And like Tom Petty and a whole bunch of other people.
There you go.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That you would grab that. And they're light enough that honestly, you could grab like boop, boop, one in each hand. Like musical equipment, right? Like you can, you can stick the flute under your arm and carry a guitar and
yes,
and whatever else under another arm and like boop, and you're out of there.
If I could take my amplifier as well, I would do that because it's a Russian-made amp that they don't make anymore. That is considered to be fairly valuable, not extremely valuable, but still it's on the rarer side. So if I could keep it, then absolutely. But I would go for the guitars over the amp if I had to haul butt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, because all the other stuff, I'm like, would it be sad? Yes. And also, like, I don't know. Like, it might also be weirdly a little freeing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. And, just with the way things used to be, too, I know a lot of people probably would have said they had like photo books. Of their family through the generations that would be the first thing that they would grab. But now everything's on our devices or in the cloud, so it's less. That I don't think I have any. I mean, I've got maybe one or two where I haven't added a photo to it for 20 years. But even then, I could part with those. It's just dumb old me and my youth. Who cares?
And I think there's some people that those things are really important, but like we're not a family that goes back and watches like old movies or that like, as an annual tradition goes through the family albums. Like, nobody ever looks through them unless they're looking for something in particular, especially when they were little and they're like, I have to do a project where, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like ripping the pictures out and giving them the pictures of themselves. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's an interesting, if you take the topic seriously enough that you really contemplate it, it's interesting what you distilled down to. And it's also interesting to really think like, I could let some of this stuff go. I could travel a little lighter, literally and figuratively through life.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, look at us being all philosophical.
Well, let's see what we get to be philosophical about next week.
All right, let's do it. Time to spin the wheel o' topics.
Yeah. Majors matter. What?
That means that going to school, if you attended a traditional 4-year university type thing, do majors matter?
Yeah.
And, I'll explain why this came up next week, obviously. But, some people, they go on to become, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, and other people, they are like...
Yeah, I got a degree in Indian chieftain.
It's an old expression. Haven't you ever heard that?
I it sounds familiar,
yeah.
But I just, upon closer inspection, it doesn't hold up in this scenario.
No, of course it doesn't hold up.
Yeah,
but, very specific things like that you're going to do. Otherwise, does it matter if you're like a French poetry major? I don't know. We'll talk about that. So,
all right. Well, definitely another great topic to bite off next week. So be sure and join us. And hey, thanks for checking us out on our new day here on the podcast feed, which is Fridays. We're going to be dropping the show every Friday now rather than Thursday. We just ended up finding that we were so busy during the week that getting it out on Thursday was tough. And so we are now like a show that you can savor all weekend long. So be sure and tell your friends about us. We're having a lot of fun doing the show, but we need your help to spread the word about this fun show. So be sure and tell your friends to check out Don't Ask Me to Talk. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Have a wonderful week.
Yeah.